Good afternoon, Integrous family. I'm here by myself. It's kind of lonely in front of all of you without Sara, who's standing over there getting ready to put some slides up here for you all. But we thought for this one, we're going to just cut to the chase and talk about a couple things. There's been some questions coming up as we walked through this. I think we're just now entering our 4th week of kind of shutting down, if I'm thinking correctly. So it's been a little while since we've been in this holding pattern. There's been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions that we did not have answers to. And so it's just been one of those times where you guys have been so gracious as we walked through it. And I think the questions that I'm hearing come up from some of you are showing me how amazing you guys have been, because some of these questions, if you didn't understand why we're doing what we're doing, but yet you're doing it with a glad heart, I gotta say, you guys are incredible for that. So there's been a lot of uncertainty, and I just want to highlight some of that uncertainty that we've faced in the past, that we've been through as the Integrous family. When we closed our doors that first Friday, when we got that news, we didn't know how long this was going to last. We didn't know if it was going to be 10 days like they said, or if it was going to be several months, but we were thinking it was going to be a short amount of time. So it was uncertain, but we were hoping it would be short. Well, as we all know, that went from a 10-day thing to a total of like 6 weeks at this point. There was that uncertainty. We didn't know if we were going to be able to work at all. We had heard people could apply for waivers, or you could seek some guidance and some clarity on what they were thinking certain companies could do and what clarified as essential work. So we weren't sure if we were going to be able to work at all. And if so, what? So there was that uncertainty. And then we did not know if it was going to last a long time, if we could work, what that meant for paying everybody, making it through this time as a company. Was it going to be some of us going on to unemployment, or the program, the government program that we've been talking about and applying for, was it going to be that? We just didn't know. So there's a lot of uncertainty that we've been through, that we were facing as we kind of came through this time. So we've been through that. Now, as we're here in the middle of this, or coming hopefully towards the back part of the middle, there's a lot of uncertainty looking forward. The uncertainty is still, how long will this last? We're hopeful that maybe sometime here towards the beginning of May we can open back up and do regular business, but we don't know. Will we get the PPP loan, the program that we're working on? We still have not gotten final approval. It looks like we will, but we don't know for sure. There's still that uncertainty. And then probably the bigger question is, will we be in the middle of a recession when we come out of this? When it was going to just be a short amount of time, I was not too worried about a recession coming out the other side. The longer this goes, the more people it affects, the longer it will take for things to return to normal. Because of that, a lot of economists are saying there's a likely chance that there's going to be quite a recession after this. It's not for certain or for sure. Nobody knows that. But the longer this is taking, the more of a chance there is for a recession. So we don't know if there's going to be a recession. And then lastly, like, how soon will life feel like normal again? How soon will it be that this is all over and it's a past memory and we're back to normal? We don't know. So those are some questions that we've been through that were uncertain when we started this. Those are some questions that we're facing as we look into the future. And so because of that, my mentality has been, the longer this has gone, we need to focus on what we can control. We need to focus on what we can do through this time to limit our losses, because there are losses, both for the company, both for us as a family, and then personally. There are losses that we're experiencing as we go through this. So as we go through this, we're trying to figure out, what can we do? So because of that, we've been trying to do everything we can that we can control. So I want to just give some clarity with some slides that I've created to kind of show you what we're looking at. So Sara, if you could cue that slide, and here we go. So this one here is projections with a possible recession. Nobody would know how bad that recession would be, but I'm just throwing some things in here so we can look at the numbers that I'm considering, the data I'm looking at, and what the future might be. So before this whole year went into COVID-19, here were some of our projections for what our company might be on for 2020. This is a good future. We're continuing to grow. We're healthy. People can continue to get paid more. We can buy the equipment we need. It's a projection of a good future because things are going as planned. So that would be what we had thought was going to happen. But of course, here we are, COVID-19. We don't know what's going to happen after this. Limited work, as we are trying to do now, on the PPP program is the yellow line here. This is what we're going for. If we do all the work that we're allowed to do while on the program with PPP, you can see that we do not look as good as what we were going to, but we don't take a serious dive. We do take somewhat of a dive, but it can even out, and we're not crazy far off of what we could have been because we're doing what we can to limit our losses. And this is one thing I need you to understand about PPP. It does help with payroll and some other expenses, but there's a whole nother set of expenses that it does not help with. Every single day that goes by for the Integrous family, there's expenses that PPP would not cover that are expenses that use up money that we've been saving. The more money we use up that we've been saving, the farther this line goes down from where we could have been. So that's why we're trying to do everything we can through this time to limit our losses so we don't dip down too far, because it's all of our futures we're talking about here. So with a limited amount of work through this time, we would not be super far off from where we could have been, setting us up well in case there is a recession. We're saving our buffer in case there is a recession. And let me tell you something about a recession. Often businesses just try to break even or lose as little money as possible in a recession. It's not a time where they're setting aside money. It's not a time where they're giving increases in raises. They're not buying new equipment that they need. They're not growing. It's more of a survival mentality. Again, kind of what we're going through now, doing all you can to limit your losses and set yourself up for future success. So I think we have to think that that could happen. So we want to come into whatever's next as well prepared as we can. Now, so that's doing all we can with our limited work, coming in, doing whatever we can every day or every week. Then, if we did PPP but did no work, you see how we drop even farther because those expenses I talked about, they don't stop. We need to keep paying bills to stay in business. So those things don't stop, but we're not doing any work. So we drop even farther. And then when we would come out of this, if there is a recession, now we're starting to see some big distance between what we thought we could have been doing this year and where we are. Lastly, this is unemployment. If some of us went on unemployment, we couldn't all go on unemployment because we cannot shut the business down. If we actually shut the whole business down, I don't know if we could ever restart. So we have to keep the salespeople going. The office needs to continue to answer the phones. I have to keep working. So do many of the leaders. There's certain things that we have to keep open. So whoever could have gone on unemployment, if we did that, did no work, got no extra help from the government program to help our business out through this time, we take even a greater loss as a company. And you see how we're even less set up coming out of this time of COVID-19. So aside from it not being the Integrous way where we are the kind of people who work together as a team, we share the load, we're in it together, not one person trying to take it easy while somebody's working hard. We do this together. Aside from just that, which is a good enough reason, all of our futures financially depend on us not doing that kind of thing. We could do that, and that is a worst case scenario, but the government has given us a better option. And then with Governor Wolf giving us permission to do some work, that gives us even a better option. So we take the best option we can get so we're set up as well as possible because we do not know what's next. But the exciting thing is, I don't know. There might not be a recession, which, here we go, voila. Sara knew where I was headed. So, again, same exact line of where we thought we were going to be coming into this year. No recession again, so now we have PPP, we do all the work we can through here, we come out the other side of COVID-19, and we start gaining back towards that line where we thought we were going to be at the beginning of this year. So if there's no recession, if nothing else, we're quicker getting back to where we were before this all started. Again, PPP with no work, just taking it easy, and not doing what we can through this time, it drops us lower, and now we're farther apart. And so that just means it's going to take longer for us to be able to grow again, for us to be able to buy equipment we need, for us to get raises, you name it. All the things that we need money for, it's just going to take longer till we can get back there to be at a healthy spot where we can all advance into the future. Unemployment, of course, is even lower. So, I wanted to show you this because I don't think I did a very good job communicating why we were doing everything we could through this time. Because you could argue, well, the government is kind of paying us to stay at home through this time. While they are paying us to stay at home if we can, or if we have no work to do, if that's what we're mandated to do, then at least we make it through it with not the bottom losses. But if they're allowing us to do some work, it's much better for all of our future. And that's why I'm so passionate about doing all we can through this time. And I came up with this little line, do all we can with what we can as safe as we can. That is what I'm trying to do here, because I want to see us return back to a healthy place as a company as soon as possible. I don't want you to be feeling this a year or two from now because we decided to take it as easy as possible through this time, and now we're paying for it a year or two down the road. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm not trying to look at worst case scenario. I'm not trying to even be dramatic. And I can be dramatic sometimes. I think people know that. But I'm trying to actually do the right thing for all of us. I'm trying to care for the Integrous family through this so we can come out the other side as healthy as possible and get back to normal life as soon as possible, where we can continue to grow in all the ways that we care about. So this is why we're doing whatever we can with the limited work that we're allowed to do. I want to stress, we want to be safe. I do not want anybody to get COVID-19. I don't want anybody's loved ones to get COVID-19. It's very possible somebody could get it that we know. I could get it. And so we want to be very careful. So what I want us to do is act in such a way that if you were around me tomorrow, you would have taken the necessary precautions to not get sick and not get too close to me, to be safe around me, that if I got sick today or tomorrow, you would not be worried that you were just with me. You had taken such good care that you were with me, and later I'm sick and you're like, you know what, I'm not too worried because when I was with Jason 2 days ago, I was very careful around him, so I probably won't get sick. So we're going to continue to look at the situation. We're going to probably give a little farther direction on what we would like to see as we operate as we are with limited operations, so everybody can be safe and yet we all feel comfortable doing our jobs. So I want to say this, we're team players. That's what we are as the Integrous family. And if you don't think this is as serious as somebody else next to you does, please be a team player and do the right thing to make that person feel comfortable so they can work and help us give the best possible future. Because if those of us who are not as concerned about it are not taking the necessary safety precautions around those of us who are very concerned about it, those of us who are very concerned about it will not feel comfortable working, and therefore we're not able to work. So let's all do our part. Let's all be safe. Let's all respect each other and be very careful and cautious as we walk through this. So there'll be some more guidance on that for when we're around each other at the shop or in the office, when we're around our customers, when we're driving in vehicles together. We're going to just make sure we're doing everything we can to make everybody comfortable and keep everybody safe. Because again, we want to do all we can with what we can, as safe as we can, for all of our futures. We could take it easy here, but we would pay for it in the future. So join me, like you already have, and let's work for that future, a better tomorrow, while being very careful with today. All right, That was a lot of information. I love you guys. I hope that made sense. Keep the questions coming. If that did not make sense, I want to hear from you. But I'm excited about the future. What I've heard as a word of advice is plan for the worst and hope for the best. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. I'm planning for worst case scenario because if it comes, then we're set up well. But I'm hoping for best case scenario, and best case scenario is so much more fun, and that's what I'm hoping for. So let's do this together. Thank you for everything you're doing, and again, stay fat and happy and safe. Love you guys.